Hi, I'm Corinne Lesh with FedScoop, and I'm here with Dr. Lon Gowen, Chief Technologist and a Special Advisor to the CIO at USAID. Hi, Lon. Thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you. Good to be here.
So why don't we start off by talking a little bit about how your agency is working to make the use of mobile devices more effective, efficient, and cheaper.
Okay, so USAID, we have roughly 80 to 100 missions around the world going active at any time. And so that's a bit of a challenge, some of them in austere locations, places in Africa and Afghanistan and things like that. So what we're trying to do because we're kind of globally based, what we're trying to do is set up a service where we can deliver mobility to all of our customers in the fields and at the missions and stuff like this, as well as do other important things such as, innovation and staying up with technology. So right now out on the streets we have a request for information, an RFI out there, and dealing with this service which we call Global Mobility as a Service, or GMAS for short. And so the idea there is to allow, at least the ultimate idea would be to allow people to have a portal that they can go into, kind of like you would with Amazon or something like that, and be able to see what's available in your part of the world, and then select, tablets or phones, and as well as, what vendors are providing cellular service, for example, and then be able to select those service providers that, maybe work best for them at their location. And all of that is to try and drive down cost, try to improve availability of things for folks, because some of our missions are pretty small. And so it's hard to, the small groups of people sometimes have trouble getting services because of their size and stuff like that. So it's hard to negotiate, onesies types of things with things like that. So that's what we're trying to do with respect to, kind of increasing costs, improving our availability for our customers, and also be able to look down the road with respect to technologies and security and things like that.
And what would you say is the biggest barrier to mobile adoption in the federal government?
So the biggest barrier to mobile adoption, from my perspective, is innovation. Okay, and so in order to be able to adopt different kinds of mobile technologies, whether it's wearables or phones or tablets and things like that, and how to use those. Okay, so I would include in that the idea of apps. Okay, so mobile apps and things, right? How do we get there? Well, to get there, you have to have people that are looking at those things and looking at them down the road, which is what I would put in the category of innovation. Okay, and the federal government, at least in the agencies I've been at over my career, which is several, don't do a very good job. We don't do a very good job at innovation. Okay, and so when you talk about innovating in the mobility space, okay, well, when are the next phones coming out? What capabilities are those phones going to have? When are the next tablets coming out? What capabilities are those tablets going to have? And so when you look at that, and then you start tossing in apps and stuff, so you take any given agency, some of the agencies, elements within an agency, bureaus and offices and stuff like this, they may not even know what would be good for an app. They may have a great requirement or need for a mobile app or some kind of special mobile device, whether it's a wearable or something, and not be aware that there's anything there. So it takes resources and stuff like that to get there, and that's the deal with innovation for us is. If you're going to do it, you have to have people like me that are in that space.
And that sort of leads into my last question, which is, what are the barriers to innovation?
Okay, that's a really good question. So the barriers, as again throughout my career, as I've seen them, primarily you could say with one word, and the barrier is usually resources. Okay, and so when you look at innovation, you say, okay. If I were to go into the private sector, for example, which I've been in several private sector companies too working, there's usually a certain amount of money set aside for innovation, right? It could be 10%, it could be 20%, depending on the company, and it could be more. Okay, so within the federal space, we definitely need agencies to set aside a certain amount of money for innovation in different areas. So within USAID, for example, it's not just IT, right? We need to innovate with respect to HR, maybe. We need to innovate with respect to science, because we do USAID's in a lot of different areas of the world where science is important. Water, clean water, health, and stuff like this, women's rights, so even political types of things, right? So from an IT perspective, what you see is you don't see a lot of funding set aside for innovation. It mainly goes to operations, and then and secondary, it goes into developing, new technologies that somebody wants done, like a new software system. But it doesn't look a year down the road very often. It doesn't look definitely 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. But yet at the same time, federal agencies are required by law to have these things called strategic plans, okay? Well, we come up with these strategic plans, but you really need innovators to help do that. And then those people need to have money, people, and time, right, to be able to go out and find those things and build those plans, and then the road map to get there. So that's the key barrier I see for innovation. Related closely to that would be leadership. Okay, it's hard to make these kinds of changes if you don't have the right leadership that sees the benefit of that. So if you have leaders that don't see any benefit in that, whether it's at the agency's head level or Congress or lower, then it's never going to happen. And that's kind of where I'd like to see things change.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your insights. We really appreciate them.
Great to be here, and thank you.
I'm Corinne Lesh with FedScoop. Thanks for watching.